Fashion's always been in love with pictures, it's just that now they're moving images. These fashion films have become a cinematographic genre of their own, a subsection that's being studied and questioned. Are they just a new form of advertising or standalone works of art? The logical extension of a brand's marketing strategy or social commentary? The city of Lyon's the birthplace of both cinema and the textile industry. At its university, they're exploring the issue.
Advertising is looking less like advertising, and it's getting a lot closer to film. That's why publicity is seen as part of the creative industries. It's a mirror of the society we live in, and also a commercial endeavor that's moving further and further away from a purely commercial message, and more towards cinema. It's more about telling stories. That says something about the world we live in. We're so immersed in a consumerist society that we don't even need a message encouraging us to consume.
The fashion school here has decided to launch a festival for these fashion films, a first for a French public university. Designers and fashion students have been invited to submit their contributions and to explore the genre.
Initially, we put on clothes because we were ashamed of being naked. Or is it now that we're ashamed of being naked, we get dressed? We're going towards an addictive relationship with consumerism. And this global trend for fast fashion has become self-perpetuating.
Another example, some students have decided to tackle the age-old question of how to react to an outsider's perspective.
For some people, fashion is really frivolous, quite superficial. Especially in my social group. When you say that you're studying fashion, it always sounds less impressive than, say, I don't know, a friend who's doing medicine or something like that. Whereas for us, it's really important, and it's an important means of expression.
This film explores the fine line between the real world with its diktats and the digital realm with its so-called hopeful possibilities. It's set up like a video game.
It's the story of a young girl who's going to have to fight to get her style choices accepted, and who's working out what her personal identity is through her clothes. She has to fight 3 enemies, and all 3 of them are the incarnation of certain social constraints. The first is trends, and then luxury, and then slut-shaming, which is demonstrative of the social pressure women are subject to.
As for the next one, it takes a headlong look at power dynamics in our society, taking inspiration from the Me Too movement.
In short, it's a revenge story. A model who's decided to swap places with her photographer by drugging him. We wanted people to get to the end of the film with lots of questions, a bit stunned, thinking, what have I just seen? What just happened here in front of me? But at the same time, the subject matter is quite difficult. The images can be a bit violent. We wanted a very beautiful aesthetic with really lovely music, because even though it's a bit hard, a bit shocking, perhaps we wanted there to be something quite pretty about it, so that at the end you don't just feel completely empty.
And since it's a festival, the films are in competition and assessed by a jury.
I thought that many of them were really quite brave to address such sensitive subjects, issues that are really in the moment. So it's good. And it was perfect for them to experiment with these issues. And then some would need a bit of polishing, but it was really great, yes.
Personally, I was pleasantly surprised because the work was of a very high level. There's a lot of creativity, strong messages, and a lot of diversity. So it was quite rich, and as a member of the jury, it was really quite difficult at times to choose which film I liked best.
And the winner is Anaïs Chazelle. The Condé Art School student presented the film Behind Borders. It retraces the international journey of a piece of clothing as it goes from production to hanging in our wardrobes.
I didn't want this film to be something that was very scripted. I wanted it to function like a trailer, giving you a little taste, but saying enough to have some sort of impact. I wanted it to be quite conceptual, really.
And the Designers Award goes to a French filmmaker living in London. Ed Picard has experience in both advertising and the performing arts. His film's an homage to cinema and its love affair with fashion.
Each scene represents a different era of cinema history, and so each one's filmed in a different style. We used black and white film for our homage to black and white cinema, 16mm film for the 50s, VHS tape for the 80s, and a little digital camera for the present day. Each one of them could be a Vogue cover.
Integral parts of a brand's marketing strategy, fashion films are funded by labels. The idea is less to push a product than to stake out the intellectual territory of the brand, a stealth tool used for promotional purposes.
If there's no generosity to it, if it's simply about selling something, you can see it right away. I think that today the fashion film is the ideal platform for these young labels, or even established brands, to communicate with their customers. And when I say communicate, I mean reach them and be sincere.
Labels are no longer selling objects, they're selling stories. And as this fashion film festival has shown, these video shorts are creating a desire for designer goods and for debate.